A new tournament has begun in US. It's called the Fall Classic, and we have two Indians playing in the A group and one Indian in B. Vidit and Ganguly are playing in the A group while Raunak Sadhwani is playing in the B group. It's a closed round robin event, and in the first round itself, Surya and Vidit were paired against each other. Let me show you a few pictures from the event so that you have a better idea. This is Vidit and Surya at the opening ceremony of the event, and this is the tournament that's happening from November 2 to 10th. You can follow all the live action. I think the round starts very late in the night, Indian time. Here's another picture of all three Indians there, Vidit, Surya, and Raunak. And this is how the players list is. The top seed is Yu Yangi. Then we have Vidit. In fact, Vidit is the top seed because the tournament has started in November and Vidit's live rating is now 2724. You have Hans Niemann playing there, Ilya Nizhnych, Nicholas Theodoru, Oparin, Abbasov, Guen Thaidaiwan, Aram Hakobian, and Surya Ganguly. That's how the players list is. And let's go to the game. And I must remind you that Surya is fresh from his victory at the Bangkok Open, so in excellent form. And he took on Vidit in the first round. Now Surya had the white pieces, Vidit is black. Let's get cracking. So the game started off with 1 e4. Vidit responded with his favorite move e5, knight to f3, knight c6, and we have the Scotch opening. Pawn takes, knight f6, knight to c3. Now, the most ambitious move here is to take and play e5, which is the main line. And very sharp, very exciting games. But Surya said, well, with it, first round playing against the top seed, let me be very solid. He went knight c3. Bishop b4 is the main move now, attacking the pawn on e4. So white generally takes and plays his bishop to d3. With it castles, white also castles and now puts his pawn on d5. So you have many games in this position after ed cd. More than 13,000 games have reached this position. The main move here for white is bishop to g5, pinning this knight. But Surya played the second most popular move here, which is h3, and the point of it is not to really pin the knight. Yes, the pin is irritating, but black knows generally how to deal with it. The idea of h3 is to put the queen on f3 without having to worry about bishop g4 move. c6, queen came out to f3, and now Vidit played this move h6 here, which is not the main move. The main move is bishop d6 here, and there are many other moves, but h6 has been played in over 100 games. Many games have been played with this. Bishop f4, and now Vidit took the open file with rook e8. Rook e1, very logical. He took, rook takes. It's important to note here that the tactical move d4 actually does not work because of two moves. One is that you are losing this pawn on c6, and the second is you can just move your rook away and the knight can now move. If you take on c3, I have bishop h7 followed by picking up your queen. So bishop e6 was played by Vidit. This is a game between Paravian and Schweritz that they are following. Rook d1 was played. Now just to get the rook away from this to get the rook away from this pin here, and also now preparing knight e2 to d4. So Vidit played his bishop back, Surya went knight e2 as planned, and now rook b8. And I think at this point, well, b3 would have been a much more calm and nice move. But I think Surya wanted to get something more here. And maybe after b3, he didn't like the fact that black can play c5, stopping his knight from coming to d4. So that's the reason why he went knight d4. But now Vidit very bravely took this pawn. And I think this has been something that Vidit is doing more and more now. He is believing in his calculations more than his opponents. and if he doesn't see what's wrong with it, he takes it. But now, first thing is, isn't the pawn on c6 hanging? Well, now I go queen c7. I am attacking the c6 knight and also the bishop on f4. So after bishop d6, queen d6, knight is hanging. Knight d4 has to be played, because if you get greedy and take this, your knight could get trapped, you know. So that's the reason why knight d4. But after rook a2, black has a fine position. So therefore, Surya now decided to indulge in some tactics. He chopped off this pawn, and this is a very interesting move. I think the best move for black is to play bishop d7 here and just say, okay, yes, I lost a pawn, but I had taken your b2 pawn. It's equal position. But Vidit went ahead and picked up this bishop and asked Surya, what's your plan? Surya said, my plan has always been to take this, because now if you play queen d7 trying to attack here, I will take on f6, and after you take queen takes c6, then your rook on b2 is hanging. So that's the reason why knight c6, Vidit went queen to f8. And here came the move queen f6. And here's your question, what should black play here? Black to move. Okay, your rook is hanging, so you need to save it. One possibility is queen g7, but it doesn't work because of check. And if you were to take bishop e7, I'll take queen e7, and this ensuing position is very dangerous for black. The threat is queen e8, and if you play queen f8, there could be some bishop h7 ideas. There are all sorts of threats in the position. This is hanging. If you try to pick up this, I have rook e1 here, with a sacrifice maybe coming in on e6, or the rook swinging up and trying to attack. So a lot of possibilities in this position, and the black king is weak. So queen g7 doesn't really work. The other move is rook takes a2, but after rook e1, now I'm threatening rook takes e6, bishop h7, the queen would be hanging. So that's the reason why the best move here and the only move is rook b6. Excellent move found by Vidit. And now the question is, okay, Surya went knight e5 in the game, which is the best move. But what if he went knight d4? What is the problem here black to play? Try to think. White would be totally better here if it were not for the fact that black has this amazing move here, bishop g4. Attacking the rook on d1, and after hg4, I have bishop h2, and notice how the queen is hanging after a discovered attack. So black wins there. Okay, knight e5 was played here. And now Vidit went queen g7, offering a queen trade. I think if Surya wanted to draw the game, he could have gone queen d8, forcing queen f8. Because if you play bishop f8, knight d7 already very strong. Bishop d7, queen d7, clearly better for white. So queen f8, and then you could maybe repeat. But as we mentioned, Surya was in an ambitious mode. He played knight f6, king f8, and now maybe the best move was a4. Maybe white has a small edge, but black's bishop pair gives him sufficient compensation to hold equality. Bishop f1 was played by Surya, attacking d5. With it went rook d2, rook b2. And the point is, if you were to take on d5, then maybe he would pick up the a2 pawn. The position remains around equal. But now this is where things start to go wrong for Ganguly. He goes c4 here. Firstly, this is looks strong, but Vidit finds a very good move here. d4. And it's not a tactical move as such, but the point is, after rook takes d4, you don't have bishop e5, by the way. That would have been nice, but the problem is knight d7, and black is fine. White is fine here. The main point here is to go back bishop e7, attack the knight, and after knight e4, chop this pawn on a2. when you have your own passer on a file with the two bishops, where a pawn down doesn't matter so much because you have qualitatively better. Okay, so knight e4 was played, and now Vidit went bishop a3. Once again, I guess taking the pawn here should be fine, but then taking here, black is equal. So he went rook d2. But I think Surya had misassessed this position. With it took, and now bishop f5. And if there's anyone who's playing for something here, it's black because of the passer here and the bishops, which are very strong. G4, bishop c2. And if black gets time, he will play bishop b4, d3, d2, and d1. That's straightforward, simple plan. Here, I think it was important for Surya to start feeling the danger and to realize that the c pawn is his best way to get counterplay and to play the move c5. Because if bishop takes c5, there is knight b3 attacking the bishop and the pawn. And if you were to play, let's say d3 here or bishop b4, then c6 already starts to create some play with, you know, knight e5 in the air, d7, c7 threatened, and so on. He went bishop g2, and now with it pushed bishop e4, and now came the move bishop pawn to a5. I think what Vidit did not like about bishop b4 is that after knight f1, he can anyway not push d2 so easily. Like, this seems like the most natural move, but after knight d2, or I mean, sorry, bishop c2, the pawn is stopped. So bishop b4, anyway, after knight f1, you have to play a5. And I think what I realized here is that you slowly go after the a2 pawn. You first fix it with a4 and then go after it. And I think black has excellent chances here. d2, a3, and with great winning chances. So in the game, after bishop e4, Vidit didn't go bishop b4, he went a5, king f1, and I think this was his last chance here for Surya to play c5. Give up this pawn. If bishop c5, now go king f1, bishop b4, you have knight c4, and this is the key point. You have the c4 square to yourself. a4, there is knight b2, and then the d3 pawn is lost. And if bishop b4, there is c6, creating some play there. But I think king f1 was a step in the wrong direction. After bishop b4, Surya had to play king e1. But I think a4, you feel like you're all cramped up, nothing's moving, you don't like this position, this should be lost. So he went knight f3, but I think he missed with its next move, or anyway, it's losing now. Bishop d1 with the idea of bishop e2 followed by d2. And very important to note that you can't take here because the knight is hanging. So that's how it's all over now. a3 check, king here, and d2. The pawn is queening, and if you take here, this is a simple win for black. And so Surya Ganguly resigned here with this, with it scored a win, first win of the tournament, and he is now one of the leaders. And also with this, Vidit made a very important jump in his ratings, and he is now reached India number 2, which is very, very interesting, because at some point Vidit was, you know, he had been relegated to India number 5 position when Arjun, Gukesh, and Hari were above him. But now Vidit has made a very strong comeback, and as you can see here, he is 2-7, 2-7 with Gukesh and Arjun just some steps behind him. If this tournament goes as per plan for Vidit, we could expect him to move closer to 27-30, 27-40, and so on, and would have good chances of trying to come closer to Vishy Anand's rating. For now, early days in the tournament, this was a very interesting game where I think Surya sort of overextended and Vidit played the endgame excellently. We'll bring you the coverage of this event. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.